As he said, I'm Ashley from Wholesale Automatic Transmissions. We've been working with Roo Systems for many years now. The flash tuning and all of that works really well with our products. I'm just going to take some time to talk about some of our products today. There we go. First of all, our premier product is our Nomad and Extreme heavy duty valve body upgrades. We've been doing these for about 20 odd years for every make and model of vehicle. Yeah? Is it on? Oh, there we go. We've been making these valve bodies for many years now for many current vehicles, 200 series Land Cruisers, Hiluxes, Ford Ranger, 6-speeds, everything from Tritons all the way through to the 80 series and 100 series Land Cruisers. The reason they work so well is because when we're doing power upgrades, they really help to increase line pressures and clamping loads to all the clutches to give you a more positive, cleaner, crisper shift. I explain it like a manual car. Most cars from factory, when they're driving, they're quite a slipping, lazy shift. And like a manual car, if you were riding the clutch between every shift, that's what it would be like. And clutches in an auto, just like a manual, are a wearing item. So if we can get a lot of life out of them by making the auto run healthier. Increasing line pressures, clamping loads, we make our own separator plates. We put different reg springs in there to give you that nice firm shift. So when the power is thrown at it, all we get is that nice positive, clean shift. We also get better fuel economy out of it. And vehicles that have overdrives, such as 5 and 6-speed vehicles, we firmen them up a little bit as well, just so they're actually able to not burn out 5th and 6th gear when you're putting big power through it. We find with Nissan Patrols doing big LS conversions and all of that kind of stuff where the power is really there, even the 6.5 Chevs with their low torque, the valve body really works to actually give you more life out of the auto. Our main market is towing and touring, so our customers with the valve body upgrades, depending on how much power you're actually trying to achieve, we can make it a very clean, comfortable shift, or we can make it quite a thumpy, sporty shift, and we can accommodate for most. One of the biggest things that we find with customers is we've done a lot of work and R&D on doing transmission coolers for many makes and models now. Most vehicles from factory just don't have a substantial cooler. They have one that runs through the radiator, which is fine for people who are just using it as a shopping trolley. But when you put a lot of weight on the back and again power, we find that the auto starts to suffer. And we see a lot of vehicles with their autos just fail simply because they don't have that way of actually cooling down the auto. So we do chassis specific brackets, which we've done all of the R&D work for. We've had lovely customers who have lent us their cars 3 or 4 times when we've put it on there and it hasn't fit, taken it back off, done the R&D, put it back on, and we finally got a really good cooler range. We use PWR, obviously a very good Australian-made cooler. I run it on my own car and we've been running it for many years. We also do for some vehicles dual coolers, so we have one on the front and one on the back. And this is for a wide range of, again, 200 series Land Cruisers, Hiluxes. We do the dual cooler kits for the Ford Rangers, so then in low range and things they tend to get a bit hot, so that's where the dual cooler really comes into effect. A cooler is a cheap and easy way of ensuring that your auto can actually last the distance. Again, towing and touring, again, is one of our biggest things, and we've been doing torque converter lockup kits for many years now too. So when you're towing and you're sitting in that sweet spot of, with 3.5 tonne on the back, and you're sort of hunting between more, say, the 5 and 6-speed vehicles where they tend to change back and forth between the gears and constantly jump up and down, that's quite wearing on the auto and very stressful. So when we do the lockup kits, we splice into your transmission computer, which actually overrides the factory lockup. So when you're cruising along, flick the switch on the dash, lock your torque converter up and drop your revs right down. This gives you a far better fuel economy, a lot less heat generation, because the torque converter is there to work really hard down low, get you up and moving, and then we need to give it a break when you're actually cruising. So flicking that on goes, yep, good job, flick the lockup on, drop your revs down and give it a break. And if you're running a transmission temperature gauge, you will actually see the noticeable difference in the heat dropping in the auto too. And all these little things, heat is the biggest killer of an auto by far. So running coolers, lockup kits, valve bodies, it's all going to ensure the lifespan of the auto. Plus also too, with a lot of autos these days, they're very electrically advanced and they're probably not set up to be the optimum way that you as a consumer would want to drive the vehicle. They've all just sort of tick the boxes in regards to emissions, fuel economy and all of that kind of thing too. So we're actually sort of strengthening up the vehicle for what you think you've actually purchased it to do. One of the One of the other things we do as well is a transmission temperature gauge. Temperature gauges, I love to have a temperature gauge in my vehicle. I love and I hate it. So when I'm driving, I actually see that heat rising. If I'm putting the foot in, going up big ranges and things like that, you see that heat just gradually grow. It's not like an engine temp gauge. If the engine temp gauge is going up, you've got big problems. With a transmission temp, it will actually fluctuate constantly depending on what you're actually doing with the vehicle. If you're out on the open road and you're sitting locked up nicely with the lock-up kit on, you'll probably sit around 60, 70 degrees quite comfortably. As soon as you start getting a headwind and it keeps changing back, then you might even see it go up to 120 degrees. But you can actually make the auto suffer without really knowing about it. But if you can actually look at it and then alter your driving style, again, that's going to actually go to the life of the auto because you're actually treating it better. We've also come out with a range specifically right now for the Ford Ranger 6-speed. So we do valve body upgrades. We also do the bypass valve to actually make sure the oil can flow easier through there as well. We do a combination of valve bodies and coolers on them to actually get rid of that heat. One of the biggest things we're finding is vehicles are coming out with heat exchange units, which heat up the auto using radiator water, and it's really not ideal. So we actually remove that restriction, put coolers on them, we do the valve bodies with the bypasses, and we're finding that autos these days are a lot harder to manipulate, so we're having to put a lot more R&D and actually putting our heads together to actually get these autos to drive the way that we want them to. We also do big cast aluminium sumps, which are a PML branded one from America. They also help for obviously more oil consumption and actually pumping it all the way through as well. Look, I think the biggest thing, we also do the automatic transmission conversions for the 70 series Land Cruisers going manual to auto. We use the 200 series 6-speed autos in them, and we've been doing them for about 4 or 5 years. And Roo Systems has done, at their best, they were probably doing about 10 to 15 a year. We like that conversion. We're very proud of it. We've made it a very simple kit to do. It's not a cheap conversion, but on the same token, we use Toyota genuine parts across the board with the Toyota 200 6-speed auto, the 150 series T-bar assembly, our own computer system that we use to run it. So we're really all over trying to stay at the forefront of automatic transmissions. And I always say that automatic transmissions aren't fun. They're not something you think about spending money on. You want to spend all that money on the engine and get that big power and everything like that, but the auto, if it can't handle that power, you're not actually going to achieve as much as you would actually want. And then at the end of the day, you're just going to have a big payday when the auto goes. So anything engine upgrade, look at the auto as well, because the auto really needs to be able to understand that that power is actually happening. Otherwise, you're going to burn out a few things. And we do get that quite a lot, and especially, again, with patrols doing the 6.5s, and big, intercoolers, and that's why we work really well with Roo Systems, because they get awesome numbers out of their flash tunes, and then we sell the valve body assemblies to actually coincide with doing the upgrade as well. So we're all about the health of the auto, and we come from 30 years of a family-owned business, and we've done all of the research, we've done everything, and we think we're really at that point where we can actually be proud of ourselves and actually getting to that point.